Hey everybody, thought I'd try something a little bit new this month and supplement my email market update with just a brief video, or maybe I can dive into a little bit more detail than I do in the 2 to 3 paragraph summary at the beginning of my email market update. So anyway, pretty slow October, as predicted. A lot of factors causing that, but the number one factor by far is the heated election going on that's coming up here on November 5th, and that just causes a lot of uncertainty. Pretty much every buyer and seller I'm talking to right now is just telling me like, hey, we want to wait to see what happens. Make sure civil war doesn't break out, riots in the streets, all that. So just and this is pretty. If you look at stats on election years, especially when people deem them like critical election years, real estate transactions always kind of die off, and it just breeds uncertainty. So we're seeing a lot of that right now. Digging into the stats for this month. So in Bend, there were 162 homes that closed. Median sales price of those homes were $820,000 and $425 per square foot. Those were on the market for an average of 53 days, which is a little bit longer than what we've been seeing the last year or so. And then for active listings, 608 active listings in Bend. Median list price of $862,500 and $419 per square foot. Those have been on the market for a lot longer, 87 days on average. And so basically what I'm seeing lately is that for those listings that are in the top 10 or 15% of listings, and what that means is really nice house, updated, in good shape, in a good location, competitively priced. If you can kind of check all those boxes and be in the top 10 to 15% of desirability, those homes are still selling quickly. They're still selling within 30 to 45 days. Those are houses that people want to buy in pretty much any market. But the remaining 85 to 90% of listings that don't check every one of those boxes, for the most part, those are just sitting right now with minimal activity. And so again, for a lot of reasons, election being the biggest one, but well, maybe the biggest one. Another big one is interest rates. So that's kind of big news this month too. Is if you remember in my last update, talked about how the Federal Reserve cut the federal funds interest rate for the first time since 2020, which brought and so everybody was really optimistic. Mortgage rates dropped pretty much a full percent. So the average mortgage rate was right around, it was in like high fives, low sixes. But within 24 hours of that happening, new economic data came in, and it kind of totally changed the course of everything. So basically, for those of you that don't know, when the economy looks good on paper, that is bad news for interest rates. So good economic data usually equals interest rates going up, and vice versa. When they get a bad jobs report or bad economic data, that usually causes rates to go down. So basically the last month, because of the good economic data that was coming in, interest rates have gone back up like a full percent. So now the average is, let's see, what was it? 6.74% right now. So basically all the kind of momentum we gained over the last month or so in mortgage interest rates just went totally right back to where they were, unfortunately. So that's obviously causing this kind of big freeze that we're seeing, which leads me to like the biggest standout stat that I was mentioning in my summary here, is that the number of transactions taking place have just like fallen off a cliff. So both nationally and locally, 2024 is on pace to have the fewest real estate transactions since 1995, which is just crazy to me. So the Bend market has seen like a slight bend, not as much, but still a little bit of a decline there compared to last year. And last year, 2023 had the fewest transactions since the Great Recession in 2008. So pretty crazy that we've even surpassed the Great Recession, at least in terms of the amount of transactions. Prices haven't really moved. Prices are still stable, but transactions have definitely fallen off because of the various factors that I've mentioned. So, but yeah, taking that all into account, I think right now, we have the most pent-up demand we've ever seen. The last 2 years especially, or even really back to 2021, we just have a lot of buyers who maybe wanted to get in the game in 2021 when rates are low, but it was so competitive that they couldn't. And now these last 2 years, rates have been so high that they've just been on the sideline. And so we have a lot of demand on the buyer side. Even sellers, been talking to a lot of sellers who they really want to sell, but they just can't justify getting rid of their sub 3% mortgage to then trade up to a 6.5% mortgage. So, yeah, a lot of pent up demand. So I mean, I'm done predicting when when everything's going to shift, when rates are going to go down. But if you push me on a guess, I would say, depending on how this election goes, I think probably either way, once people just kind of adjust to the new normal, and once rates go down, which if I had to guess, again, take it for what it's worth. But if those go down, say spring, I think spring and summer we'll see a big wave of transactions just catching up on the last few years. So anyway, that's my take on the market. Give me some feedback on this. I've never done one of these before, so if it's helpful, let me know. If it's not helpful, let me know. And if there's anything I can do to help, if you're a seller looking to sell or just want to know, how much your house is worth, I'd be happy to help you out, kind of give you my opinion. And if you're a buyer trying to navigate kind of the complex process of just the questions that come up and navigating that process, yeah, definitely let me know. So, all right, thanks guys. We'll see you next month.